And two, until that low gets taken out, and there's no reason for me to be scared or be like, oh, the idea is not gonna work. All right, most people just set their stop loss based on the amount of money that they don't want to risk or they don't want to lose, but the point of your stop loss is to be at a safe spot. That's the protected low, especially with a sequential SMT there. All right, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, my name is Lewis, and I am just simply documenting my trading journey. As always, make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, share this with a friend who is also on the trading journey, and let me know how your trading journey went down in the comments. We're gonna head straight into the video, straight into the meat and potatoes of everything, and talk about 3 days this week. We're gonna do Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, as I think those are the best days for you to learn the most from what I experienced this week. And as always, if you want to see the breakdown of every day, it's in my premium Discord. I do a breakdown every single day as soon as I'm done trading. But we're gonna start on Wednesday the 29th. We ended up having FOMC on that day, and I ended up smacking it, and I'll break down everything. So let's head straight into it. All right, so on Wednesday it was fairly simple. After Wednesday, I understood that we were gonna end up being bullish for the rest of the week. And if you're in my Discord, actually, I'm gonna bring it up real quick. And if you are in here, as you can see, on the 29th, I ended up sending this out, and I said that I think that the low of the week had been printed, that I was gonna look for longs for the rest of the week, and it ended up being correct. So if you're in my active Discord, which is free, I'll probably end up doing that anytime I notice low or high of week, and then you'll have basically a free analysis for the rest of the week. But that's only if you are a part of my active members, and if you want to know how to get into that, check the description down below and read everything inside the Discord. But I'll leave that for the Discord section. Let's talk about Wednesday, because we had FOMC on that day. I mean, everybody and their mom pretty much understood what was gonna end up happening. All right, all the drawings are now up. You'll see everything that I ended up taking. Basically, there's a trade that I ended up missing in the AM session, and you'll understand why I was bullish if you read what I sent in the Discord and all that stuff, and there's reasons in here. But let's break it down really quickly. We first ended up having an SMT on the daily. As you can see, we ended up taking out the low of Tuesday on ES and not taking it out on NQ. So after that, I was already bullish. In the morning session, I ended up missing a long because I was more bearish, looking for the low of Tuesday, and then I realized, okay, no, we're not bearish, we're bullish. And then after that, that's where this trade comes in. But that's not the FOMC trade that I took. The FOMC trade that I took, I will show you right now. I'm gonna hide it for now, but let's get into it really quickly. The first thing that you'll notice is that we have a 90-minute sequential SMT with this low right here, which is this low here. We end up taking it out on ES, not taking it out on NQ, and that was exactly at 2 o'clock. After I seen that, I was like, you know what, let me give it a stab and give the longs a chance. And I saw everything that I needed, everything that I really wanted inside of the long ended up showing up. Plus, we had a very nice draw on liquidity up here with equal highs, which also ended up being London highs. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're bullish overall. I didn't have this standard deviation in the morning. I ended up having this one here, like this, and it ended up lining up with this low. So that's why I was like, you know what, let me go for the low. But then I readjusted it, and we actually ended up getting the actual low of day. So then push up, but it's okay. I was already out of the market and got paid on that long. But let's head down to the lower time frames and really talk about it. All right, so let's talk about it really quickly. First things first that you need to understand about FOMC is that it's a two-step accumulation. Most people would have got stopped out this day and been really tight, and I'll save that for Thursday because that's the day where you'll learn the most about what I'm talking about right now. But here at 2 o'clock with FOMC news, the market ended up dumping. They ended up dumping. I noticed a 90-minute sequential SMT, and I'm like, boom, game on. I was actually in the middle of a rank play hard point. If you play Call of Duty, you know what that is. And I ended up seeing it, and I was like, it was like around this time, I was like, it's gonna come down and give me a perfect entry for longs. And OTE was there. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take it. This was my actual fill and everything. The video should be up. Actually, no, I don't think I recorded it because I was in the middle of a FOMC, but I did post it on my Instagram. The picture, if I have it, I'll put it up. So I end up seeing that this is the protected low, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave my stop loss at the protected low because the idea is not invalid until that low gets taken out. We end up coming back down to OTE. There's an inverse fair value gap right here. I take my entry in there, stop below that low, we run. And before, I think I would have moved to break even after running up this high. And then as you can see, two-step accumulation, right? So 1, 2, and then they distributed, and that's pretty much everything that I needed for the trade. After they came back down and swept liquidity here, I was like, yeah, we're good. They ended up having, I think, a microcycle sequential, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a regular SMT, I think. But it was very simple. They came back down to OTE once again. My stop was still at the same protected low because, like I said, until this low gets taken out, idea is valid. And then we end up pumping all the way up to the equal highs, which is my draw on liquidity. Very simple trade breakdown. If you want the actual reason why I was bullish and all that stuff, check out the Discord, and everything is in there. It's in the breakdowns that I make on every single day. But now let's move on to Thursday. And now a word from our sponsors. As always, I want to thank Tektronix PCs for sponsoring this video. Make sure you use the discount code LVFLIP for 10% off, as you can see there. And if you hit the shop now, you'll see the LVFLIP setup. This is a perfect setup for trading and even content creation. The power in here for the price is amazing, and literally anything that I have needed for my PC has come from them, and I've had no problem with it at all. They even have payment options if you really are looking for a computer and can't pay it all up front, but you have my word that you're gonna get the best service from them. So check them out. Link is down in the description, and let them know you came from my YouTube channel. Now Thursday, everybody and their mom was bearish except for me. I was bullish, and this is the day where you're gonna learn the most, so pay attention, right? So I come into the day and I see that this, I don't think I need, do I mean, that showed us the -2, which ended up being the reversal, so it's okay. Very clear draw on liquidity once again. Equal highs up here, the Asia highs as well, and this was the trade that I ended up taking. Now what ended up happening on this day, right? We end up dumping at market open. Everybody's like, we're bearish, we're bearish, we're bearish. I'm like, no, we're bullish. I already showed you why I thought we were bullish for the rest of the week, and I'm looking for longs. Everybody was looking for shorts and they got cooked. Now, as you can see, standard deviation lines up. We end up having a daily cycle sequential SMT. We sweep liquidity. Over here we don't, as you can see very clearly. The 10 o'clock open, I saw another confluence power of 3. And now let's hop to the 1 minute. This is the entry that I ended up taking. So with this entry obviously being an inverse fair value gap entry right here, when they came back down to it, I'm thinking after they pump up, I'm straight. So I moved to break even, and this is the day that I realized I do not need to move my stop loss, because I need to accept the risk and not micromanage my trades. And it showed out through every day this week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And like I said, Monday and Tuesday, you can see that in the Discord if you want the breakdowns for those. But on this day, the idea isn't invalid until this low gets taken out. And as you can see, it's a 30-point stop. That's a very valid stop loss, specifically on my first trade of the day, right? So what I did was I got in here after we swept liquidity, had the SMT, standard deviations, everything that I wanted was there, right? They end up pumping, dump back down, and when they start moving down, I move to break even. They take me out and then take off back to Narnia and pump about 400 points from my entry. I had the perfect entry, just my micromanaging and my emotions got in the way. So that day I was like, you know what, I'm not going to touch my trade while I'm in the trade. My stop loss is going to be at a smart point, because that's the thing that I want to make the emphasis on. Your stop loss should be at an invalidation level, meaning that if your trade goes past your stop loss, your idea is invalid. That's why on this day I was like, why did I move my stop loss? I have to accept the risk, 1, and 2, until that low gets taken out, and there's no reason for me to be scared or be like, oh, the idea is not going to work. All right, most people just set their stop loss based on the amount of money that they don't want to risk or they don't want to lose, but the point of your stop loss is to be at a safe spot. That's the protected low, especially with a sequential SMT there. And I ended up missing out this day because of that, and it is what it is. You live and you learn, and I learned my lesson after that. But as you can see, they ended up pumping like 400 points, which is ridiculous after that entry, and I could have easily left a runner running the whole day after that and made bank. But it's all good, we're learning, and that's the only thing that matters. But let's move on now to Friday, the 1st of May actually. And now look into the Discord. Like I said in the Discord, I'm dropping all of these I guess high and low of weeks throughout the middle of the week. So if you do want to check it out, check it out. The link is down in the description, and you'll join one of the 2 chats. If you do want to join, make sure that you get into the active chat and you stay in here. Read everything that's up at the top in the information, and you'll see everything that you need. But apart from that, if you are interested, link down in the description and join the Discord, as well as the premium Discord, which is in there as well, where you'll get my trade breakdowns and you'll get access to a bunch of lessons and all that as well. But as always, let's get back to the video. Now on this day, I come in and I see that we end up having a daily cycle. Was it daily cycle sequential SMT, right? So the real entry that I think was the best entry for the day ended up happening in the pre-market, right? But by the time that I notice it, which is this right here, you'll notice it better on the 4 hour. So I'll bring up the 4 hour real quick. YM looks a little weird, but it's still, you can still see it. All right, if you pay attention over here, this candle's low gets taken out. Here it doesn't get taken out, and here it does not get taken out. But yeah, this is the important part. There is a daily cycle sequential SMT at these lows. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, they're bullish. But obviously not wanting to jump into the trade because the market had just opened or was about to open. And I see that we had already came into the entry around 8:45, and I wasn't on the charts at that time. So I was like, you know what? It's going to pump, and it's probably going to leave without me. And that's exactly what it did. Look at this candle. 2 back-to-back consecutive just straight beams up and all-time highs. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to rush into a trade, and I'm not going to chase it. At that point, that's where people come in and they end up breaking the rules and just chasing stuff to getting really bad entries and taking trades that they know that they shouldn't really be taking. All right, so I'm waiting for my opportunity. So I'm waiting for 10 o'clock to open. So 10 o'clock opens right here. You can see I'm looking for a power of 3 to continue going up, since I'm still bullish, especially with how aggressive we end up moving higher. So then I'm waiting to see if we get a move back down, and we end up getting a move back down after 10 o'clock. And you can see that there's this fair value gap right here on the 15-minute, and I see a SMT fill on the 15-minute, meaning this candle taps this 15-minute fair value gap. Here on YM, it was doing whatever it wanted, but here we end up not tapping into it on ES. So that's the first confluence. The second confluence that I noticed was another SMT fill on the 1 hour. If you pay attention to the 1 hour, you can see that we tapped into this. That's what that box is, but that 1 hour fair value gap gets tapped into on ES. It doesn't get tapped into on NQ. I'm like, okay, that's more signals for continuation. And then the last piece on the puzzle that I noticed was on the entry. If you pay attention and we go on the 1 minute, you'll see right here a microcycle sequential SMT. Now I entered before the sequential SMT was formed, but the low was my stop loss. I moved it up to here after it started moving, obviously, but that is the protected low. It wasn't, to me, A+ setup up until the sequential SMT on the microcycle. Then after that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let it run. So I enter on the inverse of this fair value gap. I kind of front ran it a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but my stop loss with that was at the SMT fill down here. They end up pumping and then doing this disgusting stuff, and they end up dropping. And I was this close to closing, but I remember what happened yesterday, and I was like, you know what, I am going to listen to myself, trust my idea, not micromanage, and understand that my trade isn't invalid until this low gets taken out. So I'm gonna trust it. Crazy thing is that, right, they dump, and I noticed they take out this low, which is the low of the gray. They don't take it out on NQ over here. I'm like, that's a microcycle. As soon as I saw that, I was like, you know what, this is gonna be a winning trade. I'm gonna let it run. I'm not touching it. And the rest was pretty much history. I was wanting to see us, obviously you can see as well, accumulation, manipulation, and distributed higher. Buy side liquidity was all-time high at that point, and I was looking at it as my target because I was anticipating some type of SMT at the highs as well, which we ended up getting, and then that's why I dumped for the rest of the day. So that's why that was my target to get out, and it was a very nice RR. I mean, you can see it's a 3, almost a 4R, 111 points, very, very clean, and that's everything that I look for in a trade as well. This was a continuation trade, which is a little different from the ones that I took over here, which were reversals. Like, this is a reversal. This is, I mean, I guess you could say this is a reversal, but then it's FOMC, so it looks kind of crazy. But for the rest of the trades, this was just a continuation lower, and this over here ended up being a continuation as well. But mostly, no, this was mostly a reversal. So yeah, if you want to see these two trade breakdowns, you'll see them in the Discord. But yeah, that's how I ended up my week. That's pretty much everything. If you want to see these, like I said, on my Discord, check them out. The link is down in the description. Check out Tektronix.com and use my discount code LVFlip for 10% off. Yeah, we're gonna keep the momentum for next week. I had a really good week, and I learned a lot through failure and through having to live through what happened on Thursday, and really just trusting myself and understanding what my strategy really entails and what my edge is. And I really am starting to understand what I look for in a trade, what I don't look for in a trade, and how to really stay patient enough until I see it. And once I see it, trusting it to basically head to where I want it to go, because it always does. And in the past, it's always like I'll move my stop to break even, and it'll take me out, then I go. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out why it's doing that and figure out how to really manage my stop, because most people would be like, yo, you gotta move your stop to break even and protect yourself from the risk. But that doesn't make sense. Like, if I would have moved my stop to break even on Friday, I would have had a break even, not a win. Thursday, I did move my stop to break even, would have ended up at break even. Wednesday, same thing. I'm pretty sure every day this week, if I would have moved to break even, it would have took me out. Like, even here on this day, you can clearly see that if I would have moved to break even, would have probably took me out. I mean, on this day, I probably would have been a little bit more safe, but it's amazing that you kind of have to notice that in yourself. But that's the way that I trade. I trade very accurate. I trade very small stops. I trade very sniper entries, I guess you could say. But everything has meaning and everything has reason behind it. It's not just, oh, I think it's gonna go up because it broke this trend line or something else. That's not how I trade. I trade completely different. I have a different mindset towards it, but it's okay. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.